for non-English speakers, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's the project as well.
Yeah. So the next question I have for you around this is what actually motivated you to be part of this project, and what has that been experience? Did your expectation?
There's a lot that I've learned through the project, and the people we've been able to work with. We've worked with women's group. I've seen how they have seen value in the project. I've worked with youth groups in terms of donating their voices, and I've seen how the impact has been. But also the data set that we've created has been able to be harnessed by different, since it's open source, people have been able to harness this data and create solutions. I think there are projects in Arusha. There are projects in Arusha that were created by harnessing this data. And so that, for me, was a plus, that the work that we've been doing from 2021 to date has brought value, has at least assisted someone somewhere in accessing a service or in developing a project. So for me, it has met my expectations and beyond. But also the learning that has been brought to me. I think before I just saw voice technology as something that exists, maybe because I'm an English speaker, if I would term it that way. But also I didn't think of people who don't speak English or people who can't access these services, the pain points. So for me, it has met my expectation in terms of I am doing something for others to also be able to access a service and be part of their movement.
So in your own words, Catherine, can you describe to us what is this community champion? And if there is any memorable experience being a community champion, please share that.
Community champion, as the name states for itself, we are the ones who champion the Sauti ya Jamii or Common Voice project to different communities. And we engage every community out there. So could be community of people with disabilities, women's group, youth groups, communities in rural areas, just different communities that you have in mind. And my best memorable experience was when we were engaging a women's group. Then this is not just younger women, this is women above 50. Yeah, so getting these women was a hassle because we had to go through the women's group where they meet. I think they call them Vikoba, the village community banks. So we speak to their leaders, and then they tell these women that there are these people who came in, they want you to participate in the project, and then getting their confirmation, and then arranging transport for them to meet and then come to the session. As soon as they're in the session, now explaining to them in simple language what are they going to do and how that will bring impact. So I think we did it on Women's Day. That was like Women's Day 2022. And what I loved about that, it was the experience of me knowing that it's not about technology. It's about people, the people who are going to use this technology. At the end of the day, we can speak technology all day, but do people understand the value, what's important? Do you understand what's important for them? Do they understand how this technology serves them? Because at the end of the day, we can create fancy technology that they can stay on the shelves. But something that speaks to people, and for them to take their time to come and sit on Women's Day, sit with you and donate their voices in the platform. I think that was like the biggest honor that we had that day. But this was a group of 50 women, You
recorded all of them?
This was a group of 50 women. It was me and 3 other community champions. It was hectic. We were sweating. They had questions, tough questions. And some of them did not even know how to interact with their smartphones, because for them, smartphones is all about WhatsApp and receiving calls. And you have to log in with your email. Some of them do not even remember their passwords. They'll be like, my daughter, I do not remember my password. You just assist me. So that patience, I think, of saying, okay, this is what I go through, I think, with my mother every day. They forget their password. You have to remember their passwords and yours. So that was it just gave me that
An
I think,
African experience.
an African experience. Yeah. So some of them were like, can I just give you my phone? You can do everything and then give it back to me. We're like, no, this is something you have to do. So it was a full day of just fun experiences. We have quite a lot of pictures that we took. I think submitted a good report to Mozilla, and that was one of their highlight, I think, in the whole of 3 years of experience, because getting women above 50 it's tough, and they have to leave their daily jobs, come and sit with you. I think for us, we got very valuable feedback from them, very good data set, but the stories that they told about the project and the curiosity, and that was, it was just heartwarming.
And given that you had 50 women, were they all same tribe or different tribe? Did you get different accents?
Different tribes, different accents, different age groups. There were women from 40s to 60s to even late 60s. So just different variants of many things. But as you're saying, we got very valuable data set that day. And I think it also influenced, there's something that our overseers or our leaders at Common Voice were saying, that there's also variance in voices for women on certain ages. So I think that was also a plus in terms of that, tapping into that group and making sure we are not also excluding them in terms of data set.
All right. So with these projects, I don't know if that was your highest challenge, but was there like a specific challenge that you faced throughout, being a champion and recording this voice? And how were you able to, given if I wanted to be a leader next year, what is that one lesson I can learn that maybe, I don't need to go through the hurdle?
The different challenge is the skepticism around donating your voice. Many people would want to know, why am I donating my voice? What are you going to use with my data? The data privacy issues that have come up recently. So I think we get asked these questions a lot. Most people want to know why are we doing this? Is it important? Why are we doing that? And some people have even refused to donate their voices or give us the data set. So I think for me, explaining to them about the project and all that, but still it's a choice for someone to do it. We are not allowed as community champions to force people to donate their voices. So we've had those encounters, but also for me, the challenge has been getting people with disability to donate their voices, because then again, we'd want to tap into that group and knowing what is their challenges and pain point. But then I think there could be the setup or the setup of the platform on itself, but also just the whole project. I'm not sure if it has touched that target group yet. So it's challenging when you're speaking of inclusion, but then again, you're excluding that group in terms of you've not reached that group. But for overall, I've not seen any challenges that I have faced so far that have made me lose hope in terms of being a community champion, because the people we've engaged with are enthusiastic. We are enthusiastic about the work, so it just trickles down to the people we work with. And so far, I'm seeing also there's a lot of people who are coming in to join the movement. So it shows that we are doing something. We have new people from DRC. So it shows that the Swahilis. The Swahilis. You saw? So we also shocked on when they speak Swahili as well. They say we were shocked at Kenyans at time. So it's also a learning curve for me as well. It's more good than bad in terms of experiences. So
what do you think at scale the possibility of this initiative, whereby even forget about Swahili, because there are also like over 200 languages in Tanzania alone. Because that's where this project is going. In Kenya already, they have a data set around Kikuyu, Luo, Kimeru, and I'm sure even here now that's the next stage. What are the possibilities?
If I'm to be honest, the possibility could be I'd say 50-50 because we would need people from those communities to give us the sentences. But then again, the people who would read the sentences would still be them, because I, as a Swahili speaker fluent, I would not be able to understand the local languages. So up until now, we have not been able to reach to those communities. So if we are to include those other languages, the local languages, we really have to go all out in terms of seeking to get data in terms of sentences from those communities. And I've not seen any initiatives from that happening. But if it were to, that would be impactful, because there are people who do not even speak Swahili. As you know, Swahili is the national language in Tanzania. But there are communities of people who only speak their local language. And you can speak to them in Swahili, they'd be like, what is she saying? So that also is a group that we are yet to touch. So if we are to, we really need to go all out in terms of collecting their data set and understanding. But still, in terms of Swahili, we are not yet there, I would say. So there's a lot. There's so much that is to be covered. So in my honest opinion, I think instead of seeing how we can include all the 200 in something, maybe as in Kenya, the way you did, guys, we could also select the from biggest tribes. And I think we could get a lot of backlash from this, because every tribe considers itself in Tanzania as the big, but they are
more equal than
more equal.
And I like that, by the way, because because in Kenya we always have this tribal, though I feel like it's brought by politicians for their own self-interest. But in Tanzania, you'll never know there are tribes. Actually, even asking someone, which tribe do you come from, they don't get offended. Try that in Kenya.
In Kenya, could it be the case if there are a few tribes in a country, then that happens? Tribalism exists?
I feel like tribalism is always castigated by individuals. And here in Kenya, I feel like politicians are the one who always do
divide.
This just to divide and manage and just appear as a kingpin. There are advantages that come with that. I don't know how far you have gone with political science, but it's one of the strategies whereby you divide people.
Divide and conquer.
And then establish yourself as a leader there, and then of course now if you speak as a community, of course there's weight that comes with that, as opposed to as an individual. But I feel like if we refocus our priority to development, economic status, and things that actually bring progress, then things like tribalism, are not an issue. But ideally, I hear you. There's more that needs to be done. But do you think, from your experience, there's more that can be done to make this a success?
Yes. I think there's a lot of people who can harness the data that we use in terms of the Swahili data set. So I think there's a lot that can be done by the Common Voice management or leaders in terms of advertising, because most people do not know about the Common Voice project. I think it's us who are the community champions who know about it. So you can tell someone, Sauti ya Jamii, Common Voice. Some of them are even developers, and they'd be like, what is that? So I was speaking to someone who was developing our mobile app, and I was like, you can harness the data from Common Voice. And they're like, what is that? So I think maybe a lot of advertisement around developer communities for them partnerships for them to know about the Common Voice project and the vision behind it, and how maybe the hackathon, I think that happened recently, at least brought to light the project and what it does. I think maybe the few people who participated now know about Common Voice. So maybe more projects like that to just create awareness, or just advertising about the data set and the potential it can bring for people to harness it and create projects around it. That can also assist in making sure that when we want to collect more voices in other languages, people can see the impact that it has brought in Swahili language. And so, maybe this impact can also be applicable in my language. Because if they don't see the impact in Swahili, how are they going to be able to maybe relate that impact to their local language? partnering with like maybe African stalking, other communities, different just groups of people. Could be also the government telling them about what they want to do with this data set. The government could also be looking forward to implementing something similar. So maybe partnerships, I think, can also appear to be fruitful in this area, because it's been 3 years of the project and still very few people know about it. So I think in Tanzania that needs to be done, more of that.
Yeah, and I like it because for me, I just got involved with the team earlier this year. I think, actually mid this year. And for us, automatically we saw the opportunity.
Exactly.
And the reason for this is that we have an API about voice, which actually we see a lot of use cases. And actually you can tell me if this actually applies in Tanzania. Because for me, I look at it from the use case base where a farmer who can't actually speak the proper Swahili, but they know their local dialect, or even they know the small Swahili that they know, but they speak to this app that actually could translate that and make sense. For instance, a farmer, or they're looking for medication, or they're looking for direction, they just speak to this browser plugin or app that is available on Mozilla, Firefox, or whichever channel it is, and then they get instruction that actually could help them. Also, I see disabled people using some of these solutions, and there are people, majority of people actually can't write, right? But they can speak.
They can speak, yeah.
So for me, I see all those opportunities, but of course, as you have indicated, there are a couple of more things that needs to be done. So for you, and speaking to Mozilla specifically, what kind of initiatives specifically do they need to focus on? Besides, partnering with government or advertising from the project itself? Because right now, you can go on Mozilla browser, look for Mozilla Common Voice, like donate your voice, and it's stored as a data set. So what more can they do?
As you're saying, the projects. I think at the beginning, for me, I understood that as the goal. For farmers, could be people with disabilities, anyone who wants to get around somewhere, anywhere. Because that's how we use Google or Siri. That's how we use it for. So if we are to really make impact, maybe localize it to that context. For it not to be up there for developers only. How is it trickling down to someone who just wants to get around and say, Google, tafadhali, naomba nifike sehemu fulani. And they just get there, and they don't have to put an English accent and speak in a certain way. They can just get into online and speak. So I see that also being, I think, the impact, but also maybe pioneering projects with different, as I said, different communities or NGOs or developers community, anyone, pioneering project. I think they did that in 2022, where there are 2 solutions that won, and they harnessed the data, and the solutions they created were very, very good. So I think more of that, because now we've collected a lot of hours in terms of data set. So how are we now moving from the process of collecting to maybe now developing solutions? So partnering with people who are already working with people on ground, communities on ground, and making sure that as they're harnessing these data sets, they are creating very relatable projects. I think the biggest challenge for us as could be developers or anyone is we create the solutions that we want. The ones that we see, I see a solution somewhere, this will work. But do people need that? So creating relatable solutions that anyone, anywhere can use these solutions. A farmer, someone with disability, anyone can just use this voice data set. And I think it will be revolutionary, because a lot of people in rural areas, some of them can't read or write, but they can speak, as you're saying. So how is voice coming in to bring about revolution in that area?
True. No, I mean, I hear you, and also I feel like there's need to go hard and go big.
Perfect.
And for me, I always look at it that innovation is not always concentrated in the cities, right? If possibly you can go to like outskirts of the town, maybe universities, try to do some of these solutions, involve the locals. You'll find actually this growing. But of course, again, a developer is very important in this key aspect, and I've seen this come in several facets. Because any innovative company across the world that does not really open the doors for the developers, it cannot innovate so much. One, because of capacity, and two, because they don't have the visibility of different people across different regions.
Yeah.
And imagine now, Africa, which has I don't know how many languages and 1 billion people, the kind of solutions that people would be building and using and looking to harness from this. Because from what I understand, Mozilla is just starting on this. And I'm sure most people will take up the mantle and scale. Do you think AI and machine learning, the way it is right now, with things like ChatGPT, Bard, Grok, and all these tools that are really harnessing the power of AI, will actually fast track this process?
So when you speak of things like AI or machine learning, I think it gets scary.
Don't worry.
Because
I can break it down.
It's way up there.
Yeah.
But you can be shocked that for people who are not tech savvy, we get shocked that we use these solutions but don't know that they are AI.
But that's how it's supposed to be.
That's
you
how
don't
it's
need
supposed
to know
to be.
about the tech. You just
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think communities don't care if I'm using AI or not, as long as it's facilitating the problem or it's assisting me in solving the problem that I had.
Yeah.
So if AI is present or machine learning, if it's coming into play and fast tracking the process, well and good. But at the end of the day, the solution has to be something that people need. Yeah. So if we are developing anything, if it includes all those technologies, it has to be something people need. Because developers or us communities, I repeat, at the end of the day, we develop solutions that we love. AI is trendy, so let's put AI in. Machine learning is trendy, let's do that. But then people on ground, is it something they can use? Do they have the facilities? Do they have the know-how, the capabilities? I think that's the aspect we forget. So we end up with good solutions on the shelf. So I think if we are to really innovate for rural areas, let's see what is available there and what can work there now. Because I've worked in projects in rural areas for 4 years now. So I know the hurdles that are there. I know what works and what doesn't, the opportunities that exist. I think that's one of the ways of the reasons why I also was the champion in the Common Voice. Because I've worked in there for 4 years and I understand everything about it. I think in also most of my, I would say like I am an expert in rural developments in terms of ICT because I've done it. I've been there, done that. So most of people would invest so much in the technology, but they wouldn't invest in the skills for the people. So you have a good technology, but people cannot use it because they don't have the skills on the know-how on how to do it. So maybe at the end of the day, when donors are putting out funding, put an aspect that would also be of trainings to these people on how to use the solution. Not all the funding to go to developing the solution. So at the end of the day, the solution is there, but people don't know how to use it, or they don't have the skills or the know-how. And also my work cuts across policy and regulations. The policy that assists people in getting affordable devices. The policy that assists people in making sure that we have villages connected to internet. Because at the end of the day, you have a solution that requires internet. People in urban areas will be the ones to use it. But also there's a lot of solutions that they can opt and not go for yours. So if you want to create for that group, you have to know that internet is an issue, affordability of your solution. You want people to pay for your solution. Someone has to choose between buying seeds and paying for voice set. Will they choose that? So you have to put a lot of factors in affordability, incentives on how, also training how to use your solutions. So factor everything in when you're developing the solution. Don't develop the solution and then force people to use it against the conditions that they're in. So I think
actually
communities have to.
You have a very interesting angle to look at it, which I've not thought about before. Because here I'm asking myself, there are places even where electrification is not
Yes.
there, right? And most of these gadgets, they require the electricity to work. Most of these people also are accessing internet is an issue, and thanks to Starlink actually, and I hope it lands here in Tanzania.
I hope so too, yeah.
Because I feel like now that it's in Kenya, Malawi, and Nigeria, and some other few countries, it changes the dynamics, because now you can go with Starlink in the rural place and still access internet, seamlessly, and be able to train, be able to show things in the real time. So some of those initiatives actually needs to join hands in one way or the other. But also, of course, training people is very important, because, if I have a solution, or even take even an example of a car. I have a car, but I don't know how to drive. What's the use of it?
Yeah.
Now I have to hire a driver. I have to worry
Extra
about
costs,
and people might take advantage of that, right? So I think that's very important. Do you think now maybe involving, but I understand why the approach is, okay, let's develop a couple of solutions around these. Let's collect as much data as possible, because remember, with more data, we are able to train, this data set more to fit actually most of our use cases, as well as even when people are developing. So if the steps are like, let's collect data, let's start developing, and then train the end user on how to adopt some of these solutions, then I think we're on the right track. But if training is not there, and I see why training would come last, because even if I train you to use something and it doesn't exist, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think that as a next step, that would be really, really amazing in terms of the steps.
Yeah.
So, Catherine, what next for you? Like, you are doing an amazing stuff. Now there's stable funding. Are you still the champion, or you handed over the mantle to someone else?
Once a champion, always a champion.
You're speaking like
African way.
You're speaking like a soldier. They always say once a soldier remains a soldier, something like that.
So
like you served in the army. Yeah.
I would love to still be a champion, because I believe I have more to offer. And there's a lot that we can still do with communities in rural areas. So I would still have to be a champion. But I also want to see more voices included of people from different walks of life. So maybe we could also have women above 40 champion and see what they have to offer. Because most of the champions have been youth. And now most of our work is youth oriented. So let's see more perspectives, I think, from age groups. But also what I love most about Mozilla, they have gone all out in terms of seeing that there's women representation in this project. Almost 80% of champions are women.
Is that good or bad?
That's a good thing, because
I have my reservations though. Why is that good?
I know. For me, it's a good thing, because you'd want, in such a project, if you want more, I think Kathleen used to say this perfectly. When they were doing surveys, I think in the past, they'd find that when they are collecting data sets, most data sets that exist were for men more than women. And so if you want to collect more data set for women, have more women champions who can bring in any good or fresh ideas on the table on how to include more women. So that has, they even have a gender inclusion policy, and they are walking the talk.
But wait a minute, does that not now exclude the men?
It doesn't exclude. I say 80%. So 20%, we have men as community champions. But I love what they have done in terms of including more women. Because if it went for that, then you'd find 10 men and 1 woman champion. And then
but
when
why
you
not
want
50-50? Or you feel like ladies, are left behind. They have to catch up.
Now you want men's right?
No.
I kind of feel like even if you went 80-20, still they're able to collect data set from men, because men are always, could be my own perspective, they're always just up and running to such projects, but women are more reluctant. They'd want to know, why am I doing this, why that. So for us to give them that assurance that I am doing it, you can do it, and they see their women champions doing it, then more girls and women have been more comfortable in sharing their voices. I see it as it could be reverse psychology, or somehow how to bring more women on board in terms of seeing other women as community champions and believing that this solution is fit for women, that they are doing it, I can do it as well. So we have been able to, even the women's group, we have been able to do it with 4 other women. They are seeing us doing it, believing in what we are doing. That's why they are able to come in large numbers. Yeah, so that's
an interesting, and this way I think, thank you actually for expounding on that, because every time I find someone who is saying, women all the time, women empowerment, I just want to know why, because there's some people who are in this for wrong reasons. For sure.
Yeah.
But if that's the perspective, 100%, and I wish where there would be 50-50, where now women don't feel left behind, men don't feel like, women are given all the goodies and because it's also not true that women are, up there if we look soberly, but ideally for this, actually I totally agree with you, and let's have more women, more diversity, and also even maybe more champions in the rural areas, remote areas, or satellite towns to see this.